my stomach is growling. Hope you don't hear that. But they sold for Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Tracy and I am a part-time reseller on the platform Poshmark. And if you are returning, thanks for returning and subscribing. I really do appreciate that. Today I have a what sold video for you. This is for January 1st through the 15th. My sales were okay, like consistent sales. I think I said it in one of the last couple what solds that on a lot of old items I am really taking some really low offers just to get it moved out to hopefully, you know, get a little bit of new, better inventory in. So I do have a handful, if not a little more, of some lower dollar sales. But I'm, like I said, I'm okay with it. It's gone. Move on to something new. But I got a couple pretty good sales in here too. I will pop up a picture of what sold, and then when I say my total earnings, that is including or minus the platform fees and my cost of goods. So let's just get into it, right? Okay. The first thing to sell was this New with Tags faux fur leopard shoulder bag. I got this at a local church sale. I paid $2 for it. It sold for $21 and my earnings were $14.80. And that was just by the brand Bueno, so it doesn't resell for much, but it was New with Tags. That's why I picked it up. Next are these Adidas Grand Court leopard print tennis shoes. We got a running theme here, I guess. I got these out of a thredUP 15 pair shoe box. My average cost per pair was $6.78. These sold for $50 with my earnings being $33.22. So really good sale there. Next is this curly haired tan puppy. Puppy plush. He was just from Walgreens. I paid 50 cents for him. He sold for $16 with my earnings being $12.30. Next is a piece I picked up at a garage sale. It was also New with Tags. It was this men's lined fleece, or not fleece, flannel by the brand Weatherproof. It sold for $22 with my earnings being $16.60. Next is my first purse to sell out of a thredUP 15 handbag box that was just kind of disastrous, really. Each bag in that box cost me $9.14, and some of them I wasn't even able to list. But this one was by the brand Valentina. It was this orange and brown leather shoulder bag. It was missing its crossbody strap. It sold for $23, making my earnings $9.26 on that purse. Yeah, that box was rough. Next is a pair of slippers by Bob's by Skechers. They had a cute cat print on them. Paid $1 for them at a garage sale. They sold for $20 with my earnings being $15. Next is a really kind of boho embroidered top by the brand J. Jill. I got this from Goodwill and my average cost that day was $2.35. It sold for $26 with my earnings being $18.45. Next is something pretty cool. It's a plush. I paid $1 for it. It was a vintage Care Bears Cousins Swift Heart Rabbit. He sold for $28 with my earnings being $21.40. That's why I love doing plush, because you can find some real gems. Next is a piece that was taking up room in the closet, and I'm happy it's gone. It was this Fisher-Price Crawl After toy. It was a fox. I paid $1 for it, but it was in really nice working condition. It sold for $14 with my earnings being $10.05. Next is a piece I picked up at the beginning of this whole reselling journey back in 2023. It finally sold. A lot of interest in it, but nobody wanted to pay very much for it, but I just let it go. I paid $2 for this. It was this Walt Disney Mickey Mouse splatter paint purse. It sold for $10, making my earnings $5.05. Time to move on from that one. Next is a pair of jeans from a thredUP box. They were the Madewell Perfect Vintage jeans. Average cost was $2. They sold for $20 with my earnings being $14. Next is another lot of Build-A-Bear clothes. This one had a Hannah Montana t-shirt in it, I think. My average cost for these was 50 cents. They sold for $13 with my earnings being $9.55. Next is a piece, another jewelry piece out of my free thredUP jewelry bags that I got. It was the House of Harlow necklace. It sold for $30 and my earnings being $24 free on that. Next is something pretty cool. Another fun fact about me, I used to make junk journals, loved doing it, was very dedicated for a long time making them. I just stopped and I got into doing this. So I listed a few here on, or not here, but on in my Poshmark closet, and one finally sold. This one sold for $50 with my earnings being $40 on this journal. So I was pretty excited about that. Next is this belly dancing belt that I picked up this last summer for $1. It sold for $14 with my earnings being $10.05. Here's a pair of jeans by Re-Rock for Express. They were a pair of bootcut jeans that I paid $2 for. They sold for $14 with my earnings being $9.05. Here's another pair of Skims. I had picked these up at a garage sale, 2 pairs. I paid $3 each. This was the high-waisted brief. It sold for $18 with my earnings being $11.40. Here is my first piece out of my very first 25-piece clothing rescue box from thredUP. This was a Club Monaco wool, like pea coat. My average cost per piece out of that box was $3.35. And in the video I said, I got to get this listed right away. And I did, and it sold the same day. So I don't know if I underpriced it, but it's okay. But it sold for $75 with my earnings being $56.65. So I was very happy about that. I think that might be my best sale. Next, another thredUP piece, so a pair of shoes. These were the Nike Quest 3 pink tennis shoes. Average cost on this pair was $5. They sold for $21, making my earnings $11.80. Next is a top that's been listed for a long time. It was this new at Tags Calvin Klein sleeveless top. It sold for $15, making my earnings $11. Here is a lot of 2 bras that I paid 25 cents each for them at a garage sale. They sold for $10, making my earnings $6.55 on them. They were in really nice condition, so. Next is a vintage leather Fossil crossbody purse. I can't remember where, when, or how much I paid for this purse, but it sold for $18 with my earnings being $14.40. Here is a Precious Moments piece, and some sell better than others. This one was just super cute. It was called Life Would Be the Pits Without Friends, and it had stacked animals like pig and rabbit and cat. I don't remember what they were, but it was adorable. I paid 50 cents for it. It sold for $22 with my earnings being $17.10. Next is a plush. It was a white bunny by Bunnies by the Bay that I paid $1 for. It sold for $20 with my earnings being $15. Next is some more plush. Beanie Babies. You find them everywhere. Most of them aren't worth anything, but I've been kind of collecting them, and I thought I'm going to start putting them into lots. So I had all these monkeys, and I split them into 2 different lots of 2 monkeys, and I was like, these are going to sit forever. These sold the same exact day, like within hours that I listed them. I was so shocked. But they were just these 2 monkey plush. They sold for $10 with my earnings being $7.05. I don't know. Next, another piece out of that 25-piece thredUP clothing box. It was the new at Tags International Concepts black faux wrap top. $3.35 I had to pay for that. It sold for $15, making my earnings $8.65. And I kind of thought I was going to have an issue with selling the international concept stuff, but it's sold. Not for much, but it's sold. Next is a lot of 2 vintage doll clothes. One was a pajama set, and then I think the other one was another pajama, I think. But they were pretty old, in kind of rough condition with stains. I paid 50 cents for them, maybe. They sold for 10, with my earnings being $6.55. Next is something I picked up at Goodwill. I don't know why I picked them up, but I just did. But they costed me $2.10, but they were these pair of Everlast training boxing gloves. But they sold for $21, with my earnings being $14.70. So they took a little bit to sell. Here's a piece that I picked up in 2023 when I started this journey of reselling, not knowing what I was doing. I paid $5 at Goodwill for this Evan Picone black kind of formal dress. It sold for $17, with my earnings being $8.60. Happy to see it's gone. Next is something I picked up when we were on vacation. This cute Barrington Collection tulip and ducky bunny plush. It's just adorable. I paid $1.50 for it. It sold for $13, with my earnings being $8.55. Here is a piece I also picked up at Goodwill one time, and I picked it up because, another fun fact, I love elephants, so that's what attracted me to this necklace. I never wore it because it was too much of a statement piece. Well, I know why it was a statement piece, because when I decided to get rid of it and did research on it, I realized that this necklace was a Hmong metal ceremonial necklace. Yeah, so it took a while to sell, but it finally sold for $56, and my earnings being $42.80. And like I said, I got it for $1.99 at Goodwill. So here is a band tee, a Black Sabbath band tee. I had paid $4 for it out of a band tee box. It sold for $15, with my earnings being $8. Another thread-up pair of shoes. These were the UGG Kepler Moto leather boots. They were in pretty rough condition, and I didn't condition them or nothing. I just listed them as is. $6.78 for them. They sold for $63, with my earnings being $43.62. So still pretty good, but I probably could have gotten more if I would have conditioned them and made them look a little bit better. But another plush. This was Puppy Surprise, tie-dye puppy with her 3 little babies. I paid $1 for her. She sold for $15, with my earnings being $11. Like I said, if I could make $10 on a plush, I am happy with that. Next, Tupperware. This was given to me. It was very, very dirty. Got it cleaned up super well. Knew that they would sell, but it's another set from the 70s of Tupperware 4-piece canister set. These were in like the green apple, lime green color. No money into them. They sold for $35, with my earnings being $28. Another Tupperware piece. This was the Mix and Store 8-cup measuring cup with its lid. I paid $1 for it. This one didn't sell for as much as the last one that I had because it kind of had scratches and some of the color was missing on like the measurements and stuff. But it sold for $17, with my earnings being $12.60. Another band tee, another Black Sabbath band tee, $4. This one sold for $12, with my earnings being $5.05. I'm just happy that they're selling and they're leaving my home, so I'm good with it. Next are a pair of shoes from a thread-up box that I paid $6.78 for. These actually I sold once before. They got returned to me because I actually read the size wrong and listed them as a 6.5 in women's, and they're actually a 6.5 in men's. So they got sent back to me, but they sold again, $45, with my earnings being $29.22. Skinny jeans, another thread-up item. These came in a denim box. These were another pair of Hollister skinny jeans. I paid $2 for these. These sold for $11, with my earnings being $6.05. But they're gone. Bye-bye. My one and only bundle for this time period, a plush by Boyd's Bear. It was the Gala Applesmith Girly Bear that I paid 85 cents for from the Goodwill outlet bins. Then there was this vintage Buster Brown denim, little girl's denim bibs that I paid 25 cents for. And then another bear plush by the brand Dandy. It was a 4th of July bear that I paid 50 cents for. Them 3 items were put into a bundle, which totaled $46, and the person offered me $30, which I did accept. So my earnings on them 3 items was $22.40. Another pair of jeans. These came out of my closet. Pair of Levi's 505 straight leg jeans. They sold for $13, with my earnings being $10.05. Here's a Harry Potter backpack that I paid $1.99 for at Goodwill. It sold for $20, making my earnings $14. Here's a top I picked up at the beginning of my journey here too. I got it from Goodwill for $1.99. It was this aqua et soul swim shirt, something like that. But it sold for $10, making my earnings $5.05. Next is another item that I have this area where I have a lot of like antique vintage small items. I'm trying to get rid of things, but these were 2 die-cast metal pencil sharpeners that I just don't need. But they sold for $14, with my earnings being $11.05. Here's a Hello Kitty rainbow mug that I paid $1 for at a garage sale. It sold for $8, with my earnings being $4.05. Next is a piece that my oldest daughter had purchased at a garage sale one time when we were together. I think she paid $8 for it, but it was this vintage 1995 Green Bay Packers crew neck sweatshirt. If you don't know, I live in Wisconsin. But I think she paid $8 for it. Me personally probably wouldn't. Maybe I might have paid $8 for it because it was vintage. Maybe. But I might have passed it up. But she picked it up for herself. But she didn't like the way it fit. So she gave it to me, and it sold for $32, with her earnings being $25.60. Couple more, we're almost done. Next, another pair of shoes that came out of a ThredUp box. These ones I also sold once before and did the same thing. Read the size tag wrong. So the woman's put in for a return, which I kindly accepted. It was my fault. Well, she didn't get them shipped out in the time period that she was supposed to ship them out. So ThredUp gave me the money that I earned the first time off of them. She was upset about that because she was a day late after that. They ended up giving her her money back, so she didn't have to pay for them. But I made money off of it still. So I relisted them. And they sold again. And they sold for $59, with my earnings being $47.20. So that's pretty much free money again. I'm okay with that. Next is a glass from 1976. It was a Pepsi Looney Tunes glass. It had Sylvester, Tweety, and Spike on it. I paid 25 cents for it. It sold for $7, with my earnings being $3.80. I kind of love them because I'm from the 70s. So that's why I picked them up. Next, my last mixed jewelry bag, mystery craft jewelry bag that I made up out of all of my old jewelry, sold. My last one. It sold for $25, with my earnings being $20. So in hindsight, all that jewelry, I made $60 off of all my old jewelry instead of just donating it. I made money off of it. Next is this sweater that I've had listed for a really long time. It was by the brand Tundra for Bacrock, something like that. It was a 3D textured grandpa core sweater. I paid $2.62 at Goodwill for it. It sold for $38, with my earnings being $27.78. Next, this was a really cool sweater that I also got at Goodwill. It's also vintage. It's by the brand Venetia. It was this really cool purple Angora sweater that I paid $2.30 for. It sold for $56 with my earnings being $42.50. So I've had it quite a while, but it was a really cool sweater. So I'm happy somebody bought that. Next, another purse out of that horrible ThredUp purse box. This was the Nine West double strap leather shoulder bag, $9.14. I paid for it. It sold for $30 with my earnings being $14.86. Another pair of jeans. These are just from the brand Maurice's. I picked them up at a garage sale for $1. I liked them because they were distressed and just kind of acid wash. They were just cool looking. They sold for $18 with my earnings being $13.40. And my last item to sell was a puppet, a plush puppet by the brand Folk Manus. This one was really cool. It was a koala bear and it had these long vines on it. It was just really cool. I've had it for forever. I got it from the Goodwill outlet bins and I paid 85 cents for it. It finally sold for $15 with my earnings being $11.15. So there you go, you guys. There's my first what sold for 2026. Thanks so much for coming and spending some of your quality time with me today. If you're not subscribed, maybe you'll think about subscribing on the way out. I would appreciate that. Come back. I do thrift hauls, I do mystery box unboxings quite often, and some other fun things. So come on back. And if you guys wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up on the way out, I'd appreciate that as well. Everybody have a great day. Bye. Catch you on the flip side.